the sacred door opening within, deep within you, where the noise of the world falls silent and an inner light flows gently through each breath. There exists a silent realm most people forget throughout their lives. It is not loud, it does not draw attention, yet it holds the key to complete healing of both body and mind. When you turn your awareness toward it, you do not find something distant or mysterious. You find the deepest part of yourself, where ancient wisdom still whispers that every transformation begins from within. The healers of old understood this better than anyone. They knew the hands were only tools, and the true power came from the mind guiding each movement. When someone changes their inner image, the body changes with it. When someone plants a seed of peace, the body responds with natural restoration. This law has never failed because it is the fundamental rhythm of life. Your mind works like a quiet garden. Each thought is a seed. Each emotion is the water that nourishes it. And every belief is the light or the shadow that decides what grows there. When you plant harmony, the body blooms with vitality. When you plant fear or doubt, the body reflects exactly what you offered, not because it is against you, but because it is more loyal to you than any force in the world. It follows your command, even when you do not know you are giving one. This is not magic. This is the law of the mind, a law that has existed since the dawn of humanity. Those who understand this secret do not seek power outside themselves. They do not chase promises of miracles. They return inward. They choose a bright inner image, hold it like a lantern, and let the subconscious complete the rest. They speak to the body with a voice soft as breath. They trust that life always wants them well, and the body responds with restoration no doubt can explain. That secret is now in your hands. You do not need a sacred ritual. You only need a moment of awakening, a simple decision that you are ready to open that door. The power to heal has been within you all along. It has been waiting for you to remember. When your mind awakens, your body will follow. This is not a lesson. This is an invitation. Step into the journey of returning to yourself, where life has always been quietly waiting for you. The invisible law, working within the body. Deep inside your body, there is a silent order operating every second without needing a single command from you. The heart keeps beating, breath keeps moving, cells keep renewing, wounds keep closing, and every process follows a law more powerful than any medical technique humans have created. It is the law of the subconscious, the layer of mind that works in silence, yet governs your entire life. There is no moment when this law is not active. It does not pause, does not wait for your attention, and does not need your permission. It simply follows whatever has been imprinted in you as belief and emotion. This is the greatest force, shaping your body and defining your well-being. Most people do not know that their bodies are obeying hidden instructions sent from the deepest mind. When you think of peace, the body relaxes. When you think of fear, the body tightens. When you believe you are weak, the body obeys. And when you believe you are being healed, the body begins repairing what needs repair. The strange thing is that people trust fear more than they trust their own healing power. They allow negative thoughts to stay as truth and then wonder why the body weakens. But the body is only fulfilling one duty: to be loyal to every impression sent down from the subconscious. Imagine your conscious mind as the driver, the subconscious as the engine, and the superconscious as the light guiding the road ahead. When the driver turns toward fear, the engine moves into darkness. When the driver turns toward peace, the engine moves into light. The superconscious always shines, but the driver must choose the direction. This is why people with the same diagnosis can have completely different outcomes. One believes in life, believes that the body will join them in healing, and the result is recovery. The other hopes to heal, but deep down fears and doubts, and the subconscious hears only the doubt. What determines the outcome is not the surface wish, but the belief held in the deepest layer. Your body follows the image you hold within. If you picture yourself strong, the subconscious sends signals to the nervous system, the immune system, and the endocrine system to adjust. If you picture yourself weak, the subconscious does the same. It does not judge or question. It only executes. This is your greatest power and your greatest responsibility. When you dwell on worry, the body releases hormones that weaken immunity. When you dwell on peace, the body releases energy that restores. Many people think emotions are passing feelings, but emotions are the language the body listens to. One accurate inner picture has more influence than 100 emotionless affirmations. To understand this more clearly, try a simple image. Close your eyes and imagine a warm slice of ginger on your tongue. You will feel the heat, even without touching ginger. Or imagine drinking a cool cup of mint tea. Your throat will soften immediately. This is not illusion. It is proof that the body reacts directly to mental imagery and emotion. If one small picture can create instant change, imagine what a picture of complete health can do. People overlook this truth because they are too familiar with busy living. They trust medication, trust diagnosis, trust external news, but forget that there is a control center inside them stronger than any outside force. This does not deny medical help. It adds the inner dimension. It does not reject external support. It reminds you that you choose the vibration you live in. When the inner and outer work together, the body heals faster, deeper, and stronger. Throughout the lives of those who understand this law, they not only heal illness, but change the rhythm of their entire existence. They live lighter, breathe deeper, and see life with more calm. Not because life becomes easy, but because every challenge is handled better when the inner climate is healthy. The mind is the climate of the soul. When the climate is good, the body thrives. When the climate is harsh, the body struggles. And now I want to ask you something. What seeds are you planting in your mind each day? What image are you nurturing in your heart? What signal are you sending to your subconscious, peace or fear? Thank you for listening to this question and receiving it as a gentle reminder meant specifically for you. Whatever your answer is, remember that you can change direction from this very moment. The subconscious is always listening. It is always waiting for you to send a new picture. It never resists life. It only needs clarity from you. When you choose the image of life, the body follows. When you choose the right belief, the body restores. When you open the heart, this invisible law works more powerfully than anything you have ever imagined. The subconscious, the silent craftsman of life. Within every human being, there are 3 layers of mind working together to create the entire experience of life. The conscious mind is the observer and the chooser. The subconscious is the doer and the maintainer. And the superconscious is the sacred light guiding them both. When you understand the role of each layer, you realize that your body and your life are not a series of random events, but the result of what you plant inside. Among these 3, the subconscious is the silent craftsman, because it receives, stores, and carries out every instruction born from your deepest emotions. The subconscious never rests. It works while you are awake and while you sleep. It regulates your heartbeat, your breath, your liver, kidneys, lungs, and every living system. It operates with a precision no engineer can replicate. But what makes the subconscious extraordinary is not only its ability to sustain life, but that it obeys every direction coming from your beliefs. It does not analyze, or argue, or oppose. It follows what you truly feel to be real. Not what you say, but what you believe. When you send the subconscious an image of life, it begins adjusting the body toward harmony. When you send an image of fear or doubt, it obeys that as well. The subconscious does not choose right or wrong. It knows loyalty. This is why many people want to be healthy, yet continue to weaken. They say with their mouths that they believe in recovery, but deep inside they think of failure or recall painful experiences. And the subconscious hears only the deepest part. Picture the subconscious as a worker in a quiet room receiving small notes from the conscious mind. If the note carries peace, the worker creates harmony. If the note carries stress, the worker creates tension. The worker does not choose the content. The worker only performs. What you write on those notes is the emotion you carry each day. This is why true transformation always begins in the deepest layer where emotion becomes instruction for the body. Many people believe they can change their lives using positive words alone, but the subconscious does not listen to words. It listens to feelings. A person may repeat peaceful statements thousands of times, but if the heart is still afraid, the subconscious will respond to the fear. Another person may speak only a few words, but with real emotion, and the subconscious responds immediately. Emotion is the key that opens its door. Imagery is the language it understands best. This is why simple inner pictures are so powerful. When you imagine yourself walking lightly, the subconscious sends signals to the nerves and muscles. When you imagine the heart beating strong, the subconscious adjusts the rhythm. When you imagine the brain glowing, the subconscious begins reorganizing emotional patterns. Every inner picture you hold long enough becomes the blueprint for your body and your life. The subconscious also stores every old experience, even if you cannot recall it. A hurtful word from childhood, a fear never resolved, a moment of abandonment can remain inside as old commands. With time, these commands turn into habits, reactions, and ways of living that you believe are your personality, but they are simply seeds planted long ago. When you understand this, you realize that healing is not about forcing yourself to change, but changing the orders the subconscious is following. Some people carry a sense of lack for years. The subconscious hears this and creates more lack. Some carry a fear of failure. The subconscious hears this and shapes choices that match the fear. Some carry a sense of being abandoned. The subconscious hears and adjusts the body toward withdrawal. But when they change the inner image, the subconscious changes its operation. This is why those who know how to guide the subconscious are not controlled by circumstances. You do not need to fight the subconscious. You only need to speak its language. That language is gentle, consistent, and full of feeling. When you send the right image with the right emotion, the subconscious reorganizes everything toward your desire. From cellular activity to daily habits, everything shifts according to the picture you hold inside. The subconscious knows no limits. It does not say this is too late or that is too hard. It does not recognize age or time or obstacles. It only knows how to follow what is written into it. So, when you plant a new image, it does not ask about your past. It only obeys the new command and begins reconstructing your life accordingly. You can begin right now with a simple picture. Imagine your body as a garden being touched by light. Imagine each cell opening like a small flower receiving energy. Feel the warmth spreading through the body. You do not need to try. You only need to feel. When the feeling reaches your heart, the subconscious opens the door and begins its work. The subconscious is the silent craftsman of life. When you know how to speak to it, you can change anything within your body. And when you hold the right image, your life follows that image without effort. The subconscious always obeys. It always stays loyal. And it is always waiting for you to send a new instruction. Inner imagery creates the body. Across human history, people believed the body was shaped by flesh, blood, genetics, and physical forces. But those who understand the laws of the mind know that the body is shaped first by the inner imagery a person carries each day. That inner picture quietly becomes the blueprint for every biological reaction, every flow of hormones, every breath, and every cycle of cellular renewal. No image enters the mind without creating a response in the body. The subconscious works through images and feelings. This is why what you see inside becomes what you see outside. Notice how quickly the body responds. Think of an old fear and the body tightens. Picture a loved one smiling and the chest opens. Imagine a painful memory and the shoulders sink. No image is harmless. No feeling passes without leaving a mark. This is why people who live in fear for long periods often fall into chronic tension, while those who live in gentle gratitude tend to be more stable in health. The body does not invent reactions. It only follows the imagery held within. Try a simple example. Close your eyes. Imagine holding a fresh mint leaf. Imagine its cool scent. Imagine bringing it to your lips. In that instant, your throat may feel a soft chill, even though nothing touched it. This is proof that an inner picture can influence physical sensation. If such a small image can create such a clear effect, imagine what a complete picture of a healthy body can do. In the quiet laboratory of life, the subconscious does not read language the way the conscious mind does. When you say you want to be healthy, the subconscious does not hear the wish. It hears the emotion behind it. If the emotion is doubt, it hears doubt. If the emotion is trust, it hears trust. This is why imagery is stronger than words. When you picture the body healing, the subconscious receives that image as a command. Some people carry an inner picture of sickness even while speaking positive words. They imagine disaster. They imagine weakness. They breathe fear. And the subconscious receives these images exactly as they are, without judgment, without hesitation, without refusal. It follows. What you see inside will determine what you see in the body. But when a person holds the right picture, the entire body begins to adjust. Someone imagines the heart beating strong each night, and the subconscious restores its rhythm. Another imagines the lungs soft and open, and the nervous system eases the breath. Another imagines the spine glowing like a pillar of light, and the body releases long-held tension. These are not miracles. They are the natural responses of the body to the pictures it is given. Remember a simple truth. The subconscious does not distinguish between reality and vivid imagination. When you imagine standing on a mountaintop, the body responds as if you are there. When you imagine yourself walking with ease while the body is weak, the healing process begins because the image is taken as instruction. When you imagine yourself surrounded by healing light, the immune system responds as if receiving a real signal. Many people fail to heal because their inner imagery is inconsistent. They send the subconscious two opposite pictures, the picture of health and the picture of fear, the picture of hope and the picture of doubt. The subconscious cannot work with two conflicting commands. It follows the stronger one, the one felt more deeply. And often that is fear, because fear carries more intensity. But when a person learns to feed the subconscious one picture only, steady and filled with emotion, the laws of the mind begin to work fully. Every person carries an inner movie playing day and night. If the movie is about life, the body is strong. If the movie is about fear, the body weakens. You do not need to change your entire life to change your health. You only need to change the movie playing inside. And when the inner movie changes, the outer life follows. Many accounts throughout history tell of people at the edge of illness who recovered after changing their inner imagery. A woman imagined the injured part of her body wrapped in warm golden light each night, and after a time the body responded. A man imagined his brain shining like a lantern in the sky, and years of headaches dissolved. The young person imagined the lungs opening like doors receiving light, and the grip of asthma faded. These are not legends. They reveal that the subconscious is the most skilled craftsman of life. The heart of this part lies in a simple truth. Inner imagery creates the body. You cannot hold a dark picture and expect a bright body. You cannot cultivate fear and expect peace. The body follows what it sees inside. And you can begin shaping that picture right now with one clear image held with gratitude and trust, repeated in the quiet of the mind. Choose one picture you want your body to become. Hold it with warmth and certainty. Keep it as you would keep a seed of light. When that image takes root in the subconscious, your body will follow, and your life will follow. The story of Miriam, the woman who rose above despair. Miriam was not extraordinary. She was not a saint, not a monk, not someone born with unusual strength. She was simply an ordinary woman with an ordinary life until the day a diagnosis fell on her like a blade cutting through every trace of peace. The doctor told her there was a tumor in her brain in a place surgery could not reach. They asked her to stay calm, to stay prepared, and to live well with whatever time she had left. Their words carried no cruelty. They were only the conclusion of science when all options were gone. But to Miriam, that moment felt like the light in a vast room was suddenly switched off. She fell into the deepest silence of her life. In those first nights, fear ran through her body like burning fire. Every time she touched her head, she felt as if the tumor was growing faster than her heart could bear. She thought of all the things she had not done yet, of her aging mother, of her daughter, who still needed her. But the more she thought, the smaller she felt, as if she was shrinking into a thin shadow before an unseen force. One day, while sitting alone in the hospital room, she came across a passage about the power of the subconscious. She did not believe it right away. But something in those words lit a tiny spark in her mind. It was small, soft, like a flicker in the dark, but it kept her from sinking completely. From that day, Miriam tried something simple. Each night before sleep, she refused to think about the tumor. She refused to think about fear. She refused to think about what might happen. She focused on one picture only, a soft light in her brain spreading gently outward. The light did not fight the tumor. It did not push the darkness. It simply existed like warm water flowing through her. She pictured her cells being washed clean. She pictured her body knowing exactly what to do. She pictured herself healthy again, walking under the morning sunday. These images were not strong in the beginning. They were fragile and slow. But Miriam continued. The subconscious does not need explanations. It only needs images and the feelings tied to them. And Miriam gave it exactly what it understood. Each night she whispered to herself that she was being healed little by little, that her body knew the way back to balance, that life was working inside her. These were not magic words. They were emotional seeds planted in the deepest soil within her. Then a small shift happened. One morning she woke up and realized that for the first time in many weeks she did not feel fear rushing through her body. It lasted only a moment. But that one moment told her something was changing where the eyes could not see. She kept going. She spent 15 minutes each night imagining her body recovering and 15 minutes each morning feeling grateful for a new day. She did not force herself to believe fully. She simply let faith grow quietly. Weeks later, the headaches eased. The dizziness appeared less often. No one could explain it. But her body was responding to the inner picture the subconscious had begun to follow. When she returned for a checkup, the doctor was surprised to see the unexpected stability in her scans. They did not declare a miracle. They only said the situation was unusual. But Miriam knew what was happening within her. Life was reorganizing itself based on what she was nurturing inside. She continued to hold the image in her heart. The tumor slowly shrank. Her strength slowly returned. Not in a dramatic way, not with a moment that astonished the world, but with a quiet, steady rhythm that the subconscious always works with. After months, her condition improved so clearly that the doctors changed their prediction. No one said the illness was gone, but everyone agreed it was far better than they expected. The story of Miriam is not meant to glorify the extraordinary. It exists to remind you that when the inner picture changes, the body also changes. When the emotions turn in a new direction, life turns as well. When you light a lamp within yourself, darkness retreats. Not because you fight it, but because you choose light. And now I want to invite you to do something small but meaningful. If you are listening to this story and feel something moving gently in your heart, if you sense a little spark of belief rising inside, let me know you are here. Leave a simple comment like "I am ready to change," or even just the number 1. It is not for me to see you. It is for you to confirm that you have taken one small step toward the light within yourself. The story of Daniel, the man who took back his own legs. Daniel had spent his youth climbing mountains, running through forests, and working long days without fear of fatigue. His legs were his freedom, the rhythm of his life, the part of himself he never doubted. Then one ordinary rainy morning, everything changed. His car slipped off the wet road and crashed into a steel barrier. The accident spared his life, but it stole something he had always taken for granted, the ability to stand. When the doctor looked at the scans, he shook his head. The damage was severe, the chance of recovery almost non-existent. Daniel heard that verdict like the sound of a heavy iron gate closing inside him. For the first days, he tried to stay calm. He told everyone he would be fine. But at night, in the stark white hospital room, the truth revealed itself without mercy. He could not feel his legs. Pain shot through him, nerves went numb, and thoughts spiraled into despair so deep he nearly gave up. Sometimes he wanted to cry, but even the tears had run dry. Not because he was strong, but because the pain had gone beyond emotion. One afternoon, as he stared at the ceiling, he remembered something a friend once said. The friend believed in the power of the subconscious, believed that the inner image creates the outer reality. Daniel never believed any of that. He was a practical man, a man who trusted science and what could be measured. But now, when every rational door had closed, he had nothing left to lose. He decided to try, not because he believed, but because despair had cracked open a place in him that reason had always kept shut. That night, for the first time since the accident, Daniel closed his eyes and imagined something he thought impossible. He pictured himself standing, not strong, not steady, just standing. The image flickered like a weak bulb, but it was the first moment he saw himself different from his current reality. He kept going. Every night as the hospital fell silent, Daniel spent 10 minutes creating a small film inside his mind. He imagined his muscles tightening. He imagined his knees lifting. He imagined the pressure of the earth beneath his feet. He imagined life flowing down through the nerves like warm water. Day after day, the image sharpened. What was once blurry became clear. And something even stranger happened. The emotion shifted. He no longer imagined in desperation, but in quiet hope. Not blind hope, but a hope born from a faint feeling that his body was listening. The numbness did not vanish, but something in his nervous system began to awaken. Tiny sparks of sensation appeared in places that had been completely silent. The subconscious does not ask whether something is realistic. It listens to images and emotion. And it began to follow precisely what Daniel sent down to it. At first the changes were subtle, almost too small to notice. A slight twitch in the ankle, a faint pulse of energy in the calf. The doctors shrugged and said nerves sometimes behave unpredictably. But Daniel knew. He could feel that his body was responding to the inner picture he replayed every night. He continued. Not a single evening was skipped. On the hardest days, he closed his eyes and pictured himself standing in the morning light, feet on the ground, breathing in the scent of soil, hearing the wind. He held that image like someone holding a candle in the dark. Slowly, the steps appeared. He lifted a toe. He lifted his foot. He rotated his ankle. The very things he had been told were nearly impossible were happening quietly, exactly the way the subconscious always works. One morning in therapy, Daniel placed his hands on the rail and tried to stand. Not tall, not long, but for a few priceless seconds he stood on his own legs. He looked down and saw them shaking, but he knew this was the first moment of his return. A man stood not just by muscle, but by belief that had finally grown strong enough. He cried not from pain, but from the knowing that the impossible had begun to open. He continued training. The inner image became so strong he could almost feel his legs even without moving them, and the body followed. Nerves reconnected, muscles rebuilt, balance returned. After months, Daniel took his first steps. Not fast, not far, but real. The outcome of an image rooted deep enough to become a command. Daniel's story reminds us of one clear truth. The subconscious never asks whether something is realistic or logical. It does not understand limits. It only follows the image you hold within. When the image is right, the body aligns. When the emotion is right, the process opens. When the belief is right, the impossible becomes possible. And if you're listening to this now, I want to invite you to take one small step. Leave a simple comment like, I am ready to change, or just the number 1, to affirm that you have taken another step on your own path. Sometimes a single small action is enough to open a door you never imagined could move. The story of Lily, healing her breath and her fear. Lily grew up in a loving home, but it was a home filled with quiet worries. Her mother always imagined the worst that could happen. Her father rarely spoke, his face tired after long days of work. From childhood, Lily became familiar with the sound of soft sighs, cautious sentences, and an atmosphere where fear was present even when no one said a word. She grew up in tenderness, but she also grew up in a space where Anxiety was passed down like breath itself, and one day breath became the very thing that broke her. When Lily entered adulthood, she began to struggle with breathing. First, it came only during stressful moments, short bursts of shallow breath. Then gradually the tightenings in her chest appeared, even on ordinary days. Doctors diagnosed her with asthma. They gave her medicine and taught her how to handle the attacks. But there was one thing they could not reach, the old fear living inside her, the fear that had grown up with her breath for so many years. Lily found herself trapped in a loop where breathing became the enemy. Whenever her chest tightened, her heartbeat raced, and fear itself made the breath even harder. Her body reacted as if the world were collapsing, even when she was sitting quietly in her room. Each night she slept in a fragile state, afraid that one wrong deep breath could send her body into panic. One autumn afternoon, while sitting in a small cafe, Lily overheard a conversation. A woman was speaking about the power of inner images and how the subconscious shapes the body. Lily did not understand it fully, but something in the story touched a quiet place inside her. She began to read more. She learned that breath is not just a biological reflex, but a reflection of the deepest emotional state. She realized that years of fear had been stored in the subconscious and sent down into her body like a daily order. And that order had turned her breathing into a battlefield. Lily decided to try changing something, not because she completely believed, but because she needed a way out. That night she lay down and closed her eyes. She did not try to breathe deeply. She did not try to control anything. She simply imagined one gentle picture. In her mind, she saw her lungs as two soft doors opening quietly. No force, no effort, just opening like a breeze passing through. She imagined a clear, bright air flowing into her chest. She imagined her breath as soft as water. The image was delicate, fragile, like a drop of light. But it was a beginning. The next night she did the same. She imagined light moving through her chest like a warm stream flowing from her head down to her feet. She did not try to push fear away, she simply let the light flow through it. The fear was still there, but something else was happening. For the first time in years, she felt her breath no longer fighting her. It was not a battle. It was just breath. The subconscious did not need her to understand everything. It only needed a new image. And Lily gave it an image the body could understand. Soft breath, open space, gentle light. Every night she spent 10 minutes creating this small inner film. Every morning she whispered to herself, I am held by life. My breath is the rhythm of peace. After a week, something surprising happened. When she stepped outside, the morning breeze touched her hair, and her chest did not tighten as it usually did. She took a small, gentle breath. Not perfect, not deep, but enough for her to feel that a door inside her was beginning to open. The breathing attacks still came, but they were fewer. And when they arrived, she no longer panicked. She closed her eyes and imagined the two doors opening. Her body followed, not because she forced it, but because she had replaced the old command with a new inner picture. The subconscious began adjusting the reactions that had become habits. It now listened to the image of softness instead of fear. A month later, during a regular checkup, the doctor looked at her results and said her condition was far more stable. They could not explain why she was breathing better, but Lily knew. Her body was responding to the image she had planted within. Whenever her chest felt heavy, she closed her eyes and imagined the gentle stream of light flowing down. And the most beautiful part was that she began to feel a tenderness for herself. The fear did not disappear immediately, but it no longer ruled her. It became like a frightened child, and her breath became the gentle hand guiding it back home. Lily did not only heal her breath, she healed the hidden corners she once avoided. She discovered that breath is not only air, but the rhythm connecting body and mind. When the mind softens, the breath softens. When the breath softens, life softens. And now, if you are listening to this story, I want to ask you something. Are you holding an inner image that makes your body shrink? Are you living with an old fear? Thank you for listening and letting this question touch you like a quiet reminder meant just for you. The unity between science and spirit, Since ancient times, people divided the world into two realms. One belonged to science, where numbers, laws, and evidence ruled. The other belonged to spirit, where faith, intuition, and inner experience guided the way. These two realms seemed opposite, like water and fire. But as human understanding expanded, one truth slowly appeared. The two realms are not enemies. They complement each other. They illuminate each other. And when they meet in the right way, they unlock a healing power stronger than anything humanity has ever known. The human body is a perfect biological creation. Every heartbeat, every part of the brain, every chemical reaction follows a natural order. When science studies these mechanisms, we understand more clearly how the body works. But there is something science itself has had to acknowledge. Human thought and emotion strongly influence the immune system, the heart rhythm, the hormones, and the speed of healing. This is not theory. It has been observed in thousands of studies across the world. When someone falls into panic, the body produces stress chemicals. When someone feels peaceful, the nervous system adjusts in a healthier direction. When someone nourishes hope, the body responds by increasing its natural ability to restore. This is science. But these reactions do not come only from external events. They come from inner images. A person who is not in danger can still feel their heart race only because they imagine something bad happening. A person in an ordinary moment can feel filled with life just by remembering something beautiful. This shows the body always follows the picture held in the mind. This is spirit. When science speaks about the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, spirit speaks about tension and peace. When science explains cellular regeneration, spirit speaks about inner images sent to the subconscious. When science describes stress hormones, spirit speaks about the old fears living in the heart. Both are speaking the same truth in two different languages. A doctor can see a tumor on a scan but cannot see the fear or belief inside the patient. A spiritual practitioner can sense the shift in someone's energy but cannot see the physical structure of the issue. When the two work together, they touch both halves of a complete circle. Science cares for matter. Spirit cares for the root. And the body heals faster and deeper. Some patients receive full treatment yet remain exhausted because of hidden fear. Others with the same condition improve quickly because they change their belief in their inner image. This is not magic. It is the union of two sides of human strength. Imagine the body as a garden where medicine is the tool and spirit is the climate. Tools help you trim and clean, but climate decides whether the plant survives. When the climate is good, the tools work at their best. When the climate is harsh, the tools only help partly. When the mind is peaceful, medicine works more effectively. When the mind is troubled, the body resists the very help it receives. A doctor can hold the scalpel that saves you, but you are the one who maintains life by adjusting what happens inside. A researcher can create the medicine that supports you, but you are the one who allows the medicine to work fully by nurturing the right belief. Science and spirit are both instruments of life. When people understand this, they no longer compare the two. They let them work toward one purpose: complete healing. Those who recover the fastest share one trait. They do not rely only on treatment. They also work with themselves. They take the medicine, but they also imagine their body receiving new energy. They follow the medical plan, but they also release old fear. They heal the body and they heal the mind. And when mind and body become one, the healing becomes far stronger. Think of those who once broke through impossible conditions. Some stood after years of paralysis. Some recovered from severe illnesses. Science sees these as rare cases. Spirit sees them as examples of how the subconscious can reshape everything when the inner image is strong enough. And when the two sides join, we gain a more complete understanding of human possibility. When you see your body as a machine, you only chase symptoms. But when you see it as a living being guided by the mind, you touch the cause. This unity does not only heal disease, it transforms your way of living. You stop allowing fear to accumulate. You stop holding images that weaken the body. You stop believing illness is random. You understand the body is responding to every emotion, every image, every thought you carry. And at the meeting point between science and spirit, you find the greatest truth. The body heals when the mind follows the natural law, and the mind becomes strongest when the body is cared for properly. When these two meet in harmony, you become a co-creator with life itself. The power of acceptance. There are moments in life when people do not fall because of physical pain, but because of the silent resistance inside their mind. Fighting reality, fighting circumstances, and fighting oneself often causes more damage than the event itself. Many do not break because of illness, but because they cannot accept that they are ill. Many do not collapse because of hardship, but because they cannot accept that life does not always follow their plans. This refusal to face the truth tightens the mind, contracts the body, and throws the subconscious into confusion. But when someone learns to accept, they release a healing force stronger than any medicine. Acceptance does not mean surrender. It does not mean giving up. Acceptance simply means looking at the moment without judgment. It is telling yourself, I am here, and I do not need to fight what is happening. When the mind no longer wastes energy resisting life, it begins to open. And when it opens, the body opens with it. This is the moment when the nervous system relaxes, the breath becomes steady, and the organs return to harmony. From here, life can do the rest. Many people ask why they try to heal, but nothing changes. And the answer often lies in a place they do not expect. They have not truly accepted their situation. They use words to push away their pain. They use effort to run from emotion. They try to be strong while their inner world is falling apart. This silent resistance is recorded by the subconscious as a signal of danger. And when the subconscious feels unsafe, the body becomes unstable. Acceptance is when you allow yourself to exhale. It is when you tell yourself, I do not need to be perfect now. I do not need to perform. I only need to be present. When you reach that place, something subtle but powerful happens. The mind stops spiraling in tension, and the body stops holding on as if preparing for battle. In that state, the ability to heal increases. You do not force it, you do not push. It happens through release. Look at a falling leaf. It does not cling to the branch. It does not resist the wind. It follows the movement of life. Humans are the same. When you let go of the struggle inside, you become lighter. Not because circumstances change first, but because you change first. And then life follows. A woman once shared that she battled an exhausting illness for years. She tried everything. She pushed herself harder each time. But the harder she pushed, the weaker she felt. One night, overwhelmed and unable to continue, she whispered a simple sentence, I am not running anymore. I accept what is happening. And something shifted. In that softness, her body began to realign, like a string that had been pulled too tight, finally relaxing. From there, her healing began. No thunder, no miracle, only the quiet power of a mind that stopped fighting itself. Acceptance is not easy, especially in moments of pain, but acceptance is the doorway. When you open it, you step into a deeper level of healing. The subconscious can only work when you stop sending signals of tension. When you accept, you tell the subconscious everything is safe, and it adjusts the body accordingly. Try a simple practice. Close your eyes and place your hand on your chest. Whisper gently, I accept this feeling. I accept this moment. I do not need to run. With just one sentence, the body responds. The breath slows. The heart softens. The shoulders drop. Life enters the places you once kept closed. Acceptance is also an act of self-compassion, releasing old expectations, releasing the perfect image you held about yourself, releasing self-criticism that made your body tighten. You cannot heal when you keep forcing yourself to be strong. You heal when you allow yourself to be honest, and from that honesty emerges true strength. Many believe acceptance makes them weak. But acceptance is proof of inner power. It shows you are brave enough not to run, peaceful enough to stop resisting life, mature enough to see that everything happening is guiding you to a better version of yourself. And now, if you are listening to these words, I want to ask you something. Is there something in your life you are still fighting against? Is there something you know you must accept, but still hold tightly? Thank you for pausing to face this question. Sometimes a single moment of recognition is enough to begin healing. When the body speaks, and how to listen. The human body is never silent. It has no mouth, but it speaks through millions of subtle signals. It does not use words, but it communicates through heartbeat, breath, pain, fatigue, and the heaviness you think is just coincidence. Yet most people ignore its voice. They fight pain with medicine, fight exhaustion with coffee, fight sadness with busyness. They treat the body like a machine that must keep running without pause, without permission to speak. But the body never stays silent for long. When you will not listen, it speaks louder. When you still ignore it, it will shout through symptoms you cannot avoid. The body does this not to trouble you, but to protect you. A headache is not only a headache. It is a reminder that you have moved too far from balance. A stomach ache is not only digestion. It is the echo of unprocessed worry. Lingering fatigue is not only lack of sleep, it is a sign you are walking away from your true path. Every symptom is a letter from the subconscious asking you to open it, read it, and understand. People believe the body reacts to the external world, but the truth is the body reacts to the inner world first. Anxiety tightens the chest. Sadness sinks the breath. Anger heats the blood. Fear weakens the limbs. Every emotion has a shape in the body, and when an emotion is held too long, it settles into the organ that matches it like a cloud, becoming heavier each day. This is why people who carry grief often face breathing issues. Those who carry long-buried anger often struggle with the liver. Those who live in constant worry often have stomach trouble. The body and emotions are not separate. They are two sides of the same current. The task is not to silence the body, but to learn how to listen. When tension rises, ask what it is trying to say. When your chest feels heavy, ask what is being held inside. When a place hurts for too long, ask which emotion is trapped there. This is not superstition. This is something anyone can feel in their own experience. The body always answers, and when you listen, it softens. Think back to childhood when you stressed over an exam. Your stomach tightened. That was not digestion. It was emotion. When you worried about the future, your shoulders grew heavy. That was not muscle strain. It was fear. When you stayed angry too long, your chest burned. That was not weather. It was pressure unspoken. Every bodily signal is a map pointing to where the feeling lives. Listening to the body does not require medical knowledge. It requires honesty. When you sit down, place your hand on the area that feels heavy and ask what is happening inside me. The answer rises. Sometimes it is an old memory. Sometimes a desire you have not admitted. Sometimes a call to rest. Sometimes a sadness you have not allowed yourself to cry out. And when you recognize it, the healing begins at the root. The body has its own intelligence. It knows when you are forcing too much. It knows when you should stop. It knows when you are stepping away from your true values. Fatigue is not an enemy. It is a cry for help. Pain is not punishment. It is the signal that repair is trying to happen. Even stubborn symptoms are not curses. They are doors to deeper understanding. When you start listening, you enter what many call bodily intuition. This is when you know what to eat, not because of rules, but because of inner clarity. You know when to rest without waiting to collapse. You know when to say no. You know when to leave a harmful environment. The body senses energy long before the mind can explain it. When you trust your body, you begin to live in harmony instead of chasing the endless demands of the outside world. One woman shared that whenever she met someone who caused her body to shrink inside, she knew that person was not safe for her, no matter how kind they appeared. Her body was always right. Another man said whenever he walked into a path not meant for him, his chest tightened and breath grew shallow. The body warned him first, but when he ignored it, life forced him back to the beginning. The body always sends messages before things fall apart. The question is whether you are willing to listen. So now I want to ask you something so you can be present with yourself. Is there a place in your body that has been speaking for too long while you ignored it? Is there a feeling you know you should face, but have kept buried? Thank you for listening to your body, even for a brief moment. Sometimes one moment of awareness is enough to open the door to healing. The power of words and how they reprogram the body. People often think words are just fleeting sounds, disappearing the moment they leave the lips. But to the subconscious, every word you speak is a command, recorded, stored, and carried out. The subconscious does not know whether you are joking or serious. It does not distinguish between a careless remark and a deliberate statement. It only receives the message encoded in the emotion behind your words, and it sends signals to the body accordingly. When you say, "I am so tired," the subconscious lowers your energy. When you say, "I am scared," the nervous system heightens alertness. When you say, "I cannot take this anymore," the body tightens as if danger is near. But when you say, "I am all right," your breath deepens. When you say, "I am at peace," the body softens. When you say, "I am getting stronger," your organs respond as if receiving new life. Words do not only describe reality, they create it. Many people ignore this truth because they are used to speaking negatively every day. They repeat, "I get sick easily," "I am weak," "I worry too much." Slowly the body responds, exactly as instructed. Not because their words have magical power, but because the subconscious accepts repeated statements as truth. On the other hand, when someone practices speaking nourishing words, they begin to change not only emotionally, but biologically. This is not superstition. Many studies show that positive words spoken with sincere feeling reduce stress hormones, improve heart rhythm, stabilize the nervous system, and support healing. Words are vibrations. Each word carries a frequency. That frequency travels into the body and touches the places in need of healing. When you say, "I value myself," a soft space in the chest opens. When you say, "I release old pain," the abdomen feels lighter. When you say, "I deserve peace," your shoulders drop. These are natural reactions of the body hearing the right kind of language. One important thing to remember is that the subconscious does not understand the future. It only recognizes the present. So instead of saying, "I will be healthy," say, "I am healthy." Instead of saying, "I will worry less," say, "I am calm now." Instead of saying, "I will be stronger," say, "I am standing strong." Present tense creates present signals, and the body responds immediately. Some wonder why their positive statements do not work. The reason is usually a lack of honesty in their emotion. When you say, "I am strong," but fear shakes inside you, the subconscious hears fear, not strength. When you say, "I am peaceful," but your heart is storming, it hears the storm. The key is not how many times you repeat a phrase, but whether you feel the truth of each word. Only when emotion and language move, as one does the subconscious open to receive. Try a simple practice. Place your hand on your heart and say, "Slowly I allow my body to recover," then pause. Feel where that sentence lands. If you sense even the slightest shift, that is the sign the subconscious is listening. Each day speak to your body in the way it needs, not in the way the world expects. The body always recognizes what is real. A man once lived under long-term stress. Every day he said, "I am under so much pressure," and his body lived in constant alert. One day he decided to try changing his words. Each morning he said, "I enter this day with ease." He did not believe it at first, but his chest began to loosen. After 1 month, his body changed. Not because life became easier, but because he stopped commanding pressure with his speech. A woman living with chronic illness realized she always said, "I am so sick, I am suffering." Those sentences became her daily rhythm. When she replaced them with, "I am recovering," little by little, something remarkable happened. Not an instant miracle, but a shift. She slept better. She breathed deeper. Her mind felt lighter. Her medical results improved. The body followed her words like a worker following a blueprint. Words can also release trapped emotions. When you say, I forgive myself, your eyes may sting. When you say, I am enough, your chest may lighten. When you say, I release the past, your belly may grow warm. These reactions are not random. They show the subconscious opening a door to let old weight leave. And now, to help you step into your own process, I invite you to make a small gesture. If any sentence in this piece touched you, leave a comment saying, I am ready to change, or simply type the number 1. This is not for me. It is for you. It is your way of signaling to your subconscious that you are beginning to write new instructions for your body. The body's natural power to heal. There is a profound truth that modern life often makes people forget. The body is born with an extraordinary capacity to heal itself. It does not always need outside intervention. Many times the life force within you is more than enough to repair, restore, regenerate, and return to balance through a wisdom that human understanding has only begun to grasp. From a small cut to deep internal wounds, the body always knows exactly what to do. All it needs is the right inner environment to begin the process. Think about how a wound closes on its own. No noise, no struggle, only the precise coordination of millions of cells that know their roles. They move, connect, rebuild, seal the gap, and step back when the task is complete. No one teaches them, no one commands them. Life simply knows. And that is only a small example. Inside you, every second is filled with billions of such processes. Your skin renews in weeks. Your heart forms new cells. Your bones regenerate. The lining of your stomach replaces itself constantly to withstand acid. Your body never rests. Every minute is a healing moment. But when emotions are suppressed, when the mind is suffocated by worry, when fear lingers too long, the healing process slows. The subconscious sends tension signals through the body, and the natural repair system becomes sluggish. Not because the body is weak, but because it must spend energy responding to stress instead of healing. When the mind softens, when emotions are released, when you nourish a healthy inner image, the healing process accelerates. This is not mystery. Deep relaxation has been shown to boost immune activity, improve circulation, and support cellular renewal. But there is something medicine cannot fully measure: the influence of belief, inner imagery, and peaceful emotion on the body's regenerative strength. Imagine your body as a team of skilled workers. Each one knows the task. When your mind is calm, the chief sends clear instructions. They act quickly, efficiently, and strongly. But when your mind is chaotic, the chief sends confused signals. The workers slow down, they hesitate, they lose direction. This is why your mental state directly affects the speed of recovery. Many believe aging equals losing the ability to heal. That is only partly true. Age matters, but belief and emotional state matter more. Some people at 70 heal faster than those at 30 because they carry no fear, no internal heaviness, no negative commands transmitted to the subconscious. They trust that the body knows how to heal. And the body does exactly that. Remember this: the body is always on your side. It never fights against you. Even discomfort is not the enemy. It is a sign that the body is trying to restore balance, trying to repair what you have ignored. Fever means the immune system is working. Fatigue is a request for rest. Pain is attention, calling you to a specific place. When you listen, you realize the body never acts without purpose. A woman once went through prolonged exhaustion. Her tests were normal, yet she felt lifeless. She later realized her body was spending too much energy fighting hidden emotional stress. She began breathing meditation, imagining light entering her cells. She did not force healing. She created the space for it. Within weeks, her body changed, not because of new medicine, but because she stopped sending tension into her nervous system. A man lived with chronic back pain for years. No doctor found a clear cause. Only when he faced the truth that long-buried anger had tightened his muscles did healing begin. Every night he placed his hand on his back and said, "I allow my body to adjust itself." Then he imagined the muscles softening. After a few weeks, the pain eased. This is not magic. It is the body doing what it always does when you stop interfering. The power to heal is not outside you. It lives in each cell, in each breath, in every inner image you hold. The body does not require anything complicated. It only needs you to stop feeding stress. It needs you to trust it instead of doubting it. It needs your cooperation through signals of life. If you can give 10 minutes each day to imagine your body regenerating, 10 minutes to breathe deeply, 10 minutes to say to yourself, "I am healing," you will see the body respond, not instantly, but surely, slowly, gently, and steadily. That is how life works, the power of belief, and how to make it a foundation for healing. Among all the inner capacities a human being possesses, belief is the deepest and most powerful. It surpasses thought, it surpasses willpower, and it surpasses effort. Because thought only touches the surface, willpower only touches behavior, but belief reaches the deepest layer where the subconscious operates, and in that layer every command for the body is formed. It is also where every miracle of life begins. Belief is not wishing, it is not a fragile hope. Belief is the quiet certainty inside that something is already happening even when the eyes cannot see it. Belief does not need proof. It creates proof. It does not wait for results, it generates results. The subconscious does not work with weak thoughts, it works with what you accept as true. Many people say they want to heal, but deep inside they do not believe they can. They say, "I want to be well," but they trust the diagnosis more than they trust their own body. They say, "I'm trying," but they trust fear more than they trust life. And the subconscious responds to whatever emotion is strongest. Not the loudest words, but the strongest feeling. If belief and fear coexist, the subconscious will follow fear because fear carries more emotional weight. This is why in many stories of recovery, the turning point is not a new method, but a shift in belief. It is the moment someone tells themselves, "I will live, I will rise, I will change," and not just saying it, but feeling it, seeing themselves in the image of life instead of the image of fear. When belief is accepted at the deepest level, the subconscious receives the command and the body begins to do the rest. Belief always travels with imagery. You cannot believe in something you cannot imagine. When you imagine yourself healthy, you begin to believe you are healthy. When you imagine yourself standing after a fall, you begin to believe you can stand. When you imagine your body renewing itself, you begin to believe that life is working within you. Imagery creates belief, and belief strengthens imagery. They work together as two doors leading into the subconscious. To build belief, you cannot just talk about it, you must give it a place to live. Belief needs imagery to attach to. Belief needs emotion to grow roots. And belief needs repetition to become a command. That is why you practice every day. Not to convince the subconscious, but to change your own vibration. Some people say they cannot believe because what they want seems too far. But belief does not require giant leaps. It grows step by step. If you cannot believe your whole body will heal, begin by believing one part is healing. If you cannot believe the big thing, believe the small one. When the body responds, even in tiny ways, belief grows. Like a seed pushing through the soil, belief begins as something small and becomes something powerful. You can see belief at work in simple situations. One person believes they fall ill easily, and a breeze weakens them. Another believes they are strong, and the body follows that belief. One believes they will overcome hardship, and the mind opens new paths. Another believes they are powerless, and every door feels heavy. Belief shapes not only the body, but the entire experience of life. There is a story of a man told he had only months to live. He fell into despair. But after speaking with a friend who had overcome a severe illness, he felt something shift. It was not the words that changed him, but the light in his friend's eyes, the light of someone who knew life was stronger than fear. That night he told himself, I will live, not with his lips, but with his heart. That was the turning point. From a man without hope, he became a man with direction, and his body followed his belief. Months later, he recovered, not only because of medicine, but because he changed what the subconscious accepted as truth. Belief is also the flame that awakens the body's healing mechanisms. When you believe life is working within you, your body shifts from survival mode into healing mode. When you believe you deserve peace, the nervous system softens. When you believe your body is rebuilding, biological processes increase in strength. Everything begins with what you accept inside. So how do you make belief a foundation? There are 3 steps. First, choose the right image. You cannot believe something that frightens you. You can only believe what opens your heart. Second, repeat the image. The subconscious learns through repetition. Every time you imagine, you deepen the signal. Third, feel it as truth. When emotion merges with imagery, belief forms naturally. You do not have to force it. And remember one more thing. Belief does not need to be big. It only needs to be real. If you believe 1% more each day, if you open your heart just a little more, if you allow even a small glow of light to enter, belief will grow. The power of letting go, the doorway to inner freedom. Human beings are not only hurt by what happened to them, but by the way they hold on to what happened. Many people are not exhausted because of the event itself, but because they carry it inside for years. They cling to pain as if it were some strange treasure. They hold old words as if they were truth. They carry heavy memories, as if letting go means betraying themselves. But the truth is, the tighter they hold, the deeper they sink. The more they resist, the more they are pulled into the spiral of overwhelm. And right at that point, letting go becomes the only path that leads to inner freedom. Letting go is not forgetting, not erasing, not pretending nothing happened. Letting go is allowing the heart to breathe again. It is releasing what has become too heavy. It is telling yourself, I do not need to carry this anymore. It is recognizing that some things are no longer needed for the journey you are on. Like a climber who cannot continue. If the backpack is too full, you cannot move forward when your heart is too burdened. Many people believe letting go is weakness, but in truth, letting go is courage. It asks you to look directly at the pain, the memory, the truth you have avoided. It asks you to open your hands even when part of you wants to close them. Letting go is not one moment. It is a process. Each day you release a little, release expectations, release the need to be right, release control, release the old wounds you have held because you thought they were part of you. The more you let go, the wider the mind becomes. The more you let go, the softer the body becomes. Many people carry chronic pain without knowing the root began in the tightness of the mind. Someone who holds on to resentment carries heavy shoulders. Someone who carries regret walks with a tired back. Someone who holds anger carries a burning chest. All these are signs of not letting go. The body always wants to release. But when the mind holds on, the body must tighten. When you release from within, the body immediately understands it is safe to soften. Many people have experienced the moment they let go of something inside and the pain dissolves. Not because the pain was imaginary, but because its root no longer had anything to cling to. What once made the body contract begins to melt when you say to yourself, I choose to release. Letting go is also returning what is not yours to its rightful place. You do not need to carry the guilt of others. You do not need to carry their expectations. You do not need to carry responsibility for their emotions. You do not need to hold the judgments they threw at you years ago. None of that belongs to you. When you set them down, you return to yourself. Letting go also means releasing the false images of who you think you must be. Some believe they must be strong at all times, so they never allow themselves softness. Some believe they must be endlessly kind, so they forget their boundaries. Some believe they are unworthy of happiness, so they lock the door of their own heart. Letting go is looking at these stories and saying, I no longer want to live inside this box. Letting go reveals a great truth. Life has never been against you. You have been against life by holding too much inside. When you release, you return to the natural flow, and that flow carries you to places you once thought you did not deserve. A woman once shared that she carried anger toward her father for many years. It felt like a blade in her chest. Her body responded with chronic pain. One day, while looking at herself in the mirror, she whispered, "I do not want to carry this one more day." That was not forgiveness in the usual sense. It was letting go. A week later, her pain diminished. Not because the pain was unreal, but because its root no longer lived in her body. Another man said he could not let go of his past because it was too big. But the truth was he did not know how to release the identity built around that past. When he let go of the need to live inside the old version of himself, he found a lightness he thought was lost forever. Letting go does not always happen in beautiful moments. Often it happens in tears, often in sleepless nights, often in the moment you are too tired to hold anything anymore. And that is when the doorway to inner freedom opens. And now I want to ask you something gentle but deep. Is there something in your life you know you need to release but are still holding tightly? Is there an emotion, a memory, a person, or an image in your heart that has become too heavy but you still cannot set it down? Thank you for facing this question. The moment you recognize it, you are already halfway to freedom. The spiritual lessons hidden inside every healing journey. Every healing journey carries lessons so profound that no book, no lecture, and no teacher could ever replace them. A person may hear countless pieces of advice, read endless materials, understand many concepts with the mind, yet only when they walk through their own experience do the lessons truly become part of the soul. Healing is never just the journey of the body. It is the journey of the soul learning how to return to its highest truth. And through that journey, one begins to see spiritual laws that were invisible before. Lesson 1, illness is not the enemy. Most people see symptoms as punishment. They think something inside them is wrong. But illness is often a message, a sacred signal from the body that something within requires attention, a buried emotion, a hidden fear, a way of living that drains the soul. When you treat illness as the enemy, you wage war against your own body. But when you treat it as a message, you open the door to the deepest understanding of yourself. Lesson 2, the body speaks the language of the soul. When the mind refuses to listen, the body must speak louder. The more a person tries to ignore their wounds, the more the body calls out. The more they suppress, the stronger the pain becomes. The more they hide behind silence, the clearer the symptoms speak. Every ache carries a story. Every tightness holds a memory. Every symptom is a message waiting to be understood. Lesson 3, rising and falling is essential. Healing never moves in a straight line. Some days you feel light, hopeful, expanded. Other days you feel heavy, slow, uncertain. That is not failure, that is rhythm. The soul renews itself through waves. Just as the ocean rises and falls, each fluctuation sweeps out old energies, making space for new strength. What matters is not constant strength, but continuous return. Lesson 4, truth liberates. Many people suffer not because of what happened, but because they hid it for too long. They covered the past with silence, swept memories under rugs, told themselves, "I'm fine," while their heart trembled. Only when they finally turned toward the truth, no matter how painful, did they release the weight they carried. Truth does not hurt you. Running from the truth does. When you face the thing that once broke you, you discover the power you always had. Lesson 5. To heal, you must allow yourself to be loved. Many can give love, but few can receive it. They feel unworthy. They feel flawed. They believe they must be perfect first. Yet spiritually, the opposite is true. When you allow yourself to be loved, the body opens. When you allow yourself to be cared for, tension dissolves. When you allow yourself to be supported, you finally rise. The body needs love, just as a tree needs water. And while love may come from others, the deepest healing comes from the love you give yourself. Lesson 6. What you search for outward has always been within. People spend years chasing methods, cures, healers, solutions, forgetting that the greatest source of healing is within their own consciousness. External tools are only secondary keys. The main door is within. When you open that door, everything changes. You no longer feel weak. You are no longer led by fear. You realize your soul has always known the way home, and your body has always worked for you, not against you. Lesson 7, healing spreads. When you heal yourself, you do not only transform your body, you transform your entire way of seeing the world. You become softer, deeper, more present, and through that change you become a healing presence for others. No words needed. Your very being becomes medicine. A person who rose from their darkness carries a light that helps others find their path. Healing is never just for you. It is for everyone who crosses your life. Lesson 8. Patience is the silent miracle. Some changes happen quickly, but most healing unfolds quietly, like seeds growing underground. You may think nothing is shifting, but inside a new order is forming. Old energies are being released. Hidden wounds are slowly closing. The soul is reorganizing itself. Patience is not waiting. Patience is knowing that life is always moving, even when you cannot see it. Final lesson. Healing is a return to a lighter soul, a return to a heart no longer carrying weight, a return to the peace that was always there. When you walk deep enough into your healing journey, you realize that what you seek is not a perfect body, but a liberated spirit. When the spirit is light, the body realigns. When the heart opens, energy returns. And when you return to yourself, healing becomes as natural as breathing. Rebirth, the end and the beginning of a journey. There are moments in life when a person believes they have reached the end of pain, the end of exhaustion, the end of questions with no answers. Yet the miracle of existence is that whenever you touch what feels like the final threshold, another door opens, not outside, but within. The moment you think you are breaking is the moment your soul is preparing to be reborn. The moment you think everything is lost is the moment you are being returned to your truest self. This is what every healing journey teaches, that rebirth does not come from changing circumstances, it comes from changing consciousness. Rebirth is not loud. It does not arrive with bright lights or dramatic signs. It happens quietly, so quietly that many do not notice when they have already stepped into a new version of themselves. Sometimes it begins on a morning when you wake and feel lighter without knowing why. Sometimes it begins on a night when you realize the past no longer suffocates you as it once did. Sometimes it begins in a small moment when your breath feels deeper and you remember you are living, not merely surviving. Rebirth is the moment you stop running from yourself. It is the moment you can look in the mirror and no longer avoid your own eyes. It is the moment you realize that what once broke you no longer has power over you. Rebirth comes when you stop living by reaction and begin living by awareness. When you stop following fear and begin walking with peace. When you stop hiding behind masks and begin living with honesty. When you choose yourself without guilt. Rebirth does not ask you to forget the past. It only asks that you stop chaining yourself to it. You may have fallen. You may have lost things precious to you. You may have been wounded to the core. But rebirth happens the moment you look at those wounds and say, I no longer live as the old self. What hurt you was never meant to punish you. It was meant to open the doorway to the person you were born to become. One of the clearest signs of rebirth is when you remember what once frightened you, but your body no longer trembles. When you recall what once broke you, but it no longer holds you. When you can see the old chapters without wanting to live inside them again. That is the moment you have stepped into a new chapter without announcing it and without needing anyone to recognize it. Rebirth always happens silently before it shows outwardly. Rebirth is also the expansion of the heart. You no longer close yourself to protect yourself. You allow yourself to be loved. You allow yourself to be wrong. You allow yourself to try again. You allow yourself to begin from the start without shame. You understand that every person has cycles of breaking and mending, falling and rising, ending and beginning, and you learn to accept these cycles as the natural rhythm of life. Many think rebirth is becoming someone completely different. The truth is, rebirth is becoming yourself, the self that was never meant to be covered by fear or doubt or wounds. It is you without the armor. It is you with a heart no longer afraid to love. It is you with a soul, no longer suffocated by old stories. You do not become someone else. You simply return. A woman once said she believed she had died on the inside. But one day, standing in the room that once held her darkest memories, she felt calm. No anger, no tension, no sorrow, only clarity that she had walked far beyond that place. That was the moment she was reborn. Not dramatic, not loud, but so profound she knew nothing could ever pull her back into her old identity. A man who fought illness for many years said his greatest rebirth was not when his body recovered, but when he understood he was no longer defined by the illness. He rose not just with physical strength, but with inner freedom, and that freedom made his body heal faster than any treatment could. Rebirth does not require perfection. It requires honesty. Honesty about what hurt you, honesty about what you want, honesty about what you must release, honesty about where you long to go. And when you become honest with yourself, you return to your original state, the state where life can flow through you without obstruction. When one cycle closes, it is not an ending. It is a sign that you have completed an old path and are stepping into a wider one. The healing journey brings you here, to the moment you look back and realize you are no longer the person who began. You are lighter, deeper, more open. You have become the version of yourself your soul has been waiting for. Rebirth is not a reward. It is the natural rhythm of the soul coming back into alignment. When you enter this phase, everything begins to move with you. Your body understands. Your heart understands. Your life understands. Everything opens because you have opened. And now, this journey reaches its end, not to close, but to open the next chapter of your life, a chapter where you walk without the old weight, a chapter where you know life is on your side, a chapter where you finally understand that light does not come from outside, it comes from your own heart.